Welcome to our deep dive today. We're looking at mastering complex subjects, those really high-stakes challenges. And we're pulling insights from a pretty interesting source, advice originally for students tackling one of the toughest engineering exams out there.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff because these strategies, they're not just for exams. They're really universal for any kind of deep learning you might be doing. Think preparing for a big meeting, or maybe getting up to speed in a whole new field, or even just, following your curiosity.
Absolutely. So our mission today, to really distill the best practices for understanding tough material, staying focused, and, crucially, performing well under pressure. Okay, so let's unpack this. Experts seem to agree the foundation isn't just cramming, right?
No, not at all. It's all about clarity over just memorizing facts. This kind of challenge, like many complex learning situations, it rewards deep conceptual understanding, not just recalling things by rote. You got to really own the material.
Own the material. What does that look like in practice?
Well, the advice is pretty clear. Go through core texts carefully, like line by line. Use a checklist, maybe based on a syllabus, to track what you've covered, and really focus hard on the core concepts, especially in foundational areas, say like physics or certain parts of chemistry.
Okay.
There's a quote from Dr. Anand Kumar, a well-known educator. He says, "The exam rewards depth, not speed. Don't chase topics. Own the ones you do."
Depth, not speed. I like that. So how does this translate into, your daily learning routine? What's a quality-focused approach actually involve?
Right. So the consensus seems to be that discipline often trumps raw intelligence. It sounds simple, but a fixed timetable. That gives you a real edge. It focuses you on what you do in your study hours, not just how many hours you clock in.
Makes sense. So what kind of time commitment are we talking?
Experts often suggest aiming for maybe 6 to 7 hours a day, but crucially split between understanding concepts, actually solving problems, and then regular revision.
And how do you structure those hours?
Well, many recommend using focus blocks, like those 25-minute bursts, the Pomodoro technique,
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
followed by short breaks. Maybe take a quick break every hour, just to reset your mind and keep things fresh.
Yeah.
Dr. Ramesh Batlish from FEIG put it nicely. Discipline beats intelligence. A fixed timetable gives you an edge. It's about structure.
Okay, structure and discipline, that definitely resonates. But let's shift gears a bit. How do you take that deep understanding and actually apply it effectively, especially when the pressure's on?
That's a great question. And, if we look at the bigger picture, different subjects often need slightly different strategies for mastery. It's not one size fits all.
Right.
So for something like physics, it's really about grasping those core concepts, mechanics, electrostatics, whatever it might be, and then solving tons of practice questions, specific guides, past questions, that sort of thing. For chemistry, core texts are often key, almost like a Bible for certain areas, maybe using tools like reaction maps for organic chemistry to see the connections.
Reaction maps, interesting.
Yeah, visual tools can help. And for math, well, you learn math by doing math, right? Not just watching someone else do it. Daily problem sets are essential there.
So it's very active.
Very active. As some mentors put it, your goal isn't just to solve the problem, it's to recognize which method to use under pressure. That recognition is key.
Okay, recognizing the right method under pressure. How do you actually hone that skill, that intuition?
Well, that's where strategic practice comes in, specifically mock tests. But, and this is important, it's not just about taking the tests.
Okay.
It's about the analysis afterwards. Think of mock tests like flight simulations.
Yeah.
You practice before the real thing. Maybe start with 1 a week, then ramp up to 2 or 3 as you get closer to your goal or deadline.
Right.
But the crucial step, the one people often skip, is meticulously analyzing your mistakes. Why did you get it wrong? How can you avoid that specific error next time?
So it's learning from the mistakes.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Vineet Limba said, don't just solve papers, learn how to avoid the same mistakes again. That's how toppers grow. It's about that feedback loop.
That makes a lot of sense. But, even with the best preparation, there's the risk of burnout, isn't there? What's the sort of hidden factor here?
That's such an important point. It raises the question.
Yeah.
Can you really sustain that high-level performance if you neglect your well-being? And the answer is pretty much no.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Experts consistently hammer this home. Aim for 6 to 8 hours of sleep daily. You just can't cheat your brain when it comes to rest. Also, try to incorporate maybe 20 minutes of light exercise or just a walk, something to clear your head.
Get away from the desk.
Exactly. And maybe the toughest one for many, try to limit the social media doom scrolling or other digital rabbit holes that just drain your mental energy. Like one coaching expert said, quite bluntly, you can't cheat the brain, If it's tired, it won't retain or recall, period.
Wow, period. Okay. So bringing all these threads together then, what's the main takeaway for you, the listener, trying to master something complex?
Well, to sum it all up, it seems to come down to a few core principles, doesn't it? First, really going for that deep conceptual understanding. Then, disciplined, strategic practice that's actually tailored to what you're learning. Rigorous self-analysis, especially your mistakes. And maybe most importantly, actively looking after your mental and physical well-being throughout the process.
So consistency over just sheer intensity seems to be the real secret weapon here for deep learning and performing well.
It really does. So here's something to think about. Consider one new skill or maybe a challenging topic you're tackling right now. How could applying just one of these strategies we've discussed, maybe the deep dive into concepts, the structured practice, the mistake analysis, or prioritizing well-being, how could that fundamentally shift your approach to truly owning that material?